is Tule Fog? T-U-L-E. Do we say it Tule? Do we say it Tule? What is it? When do we get it? Why do we get it? Oh, I'm going to break it all down for you, and I'm going to give you some really key pointers on how to navigate Bakersfield and the Central Valley when it's fog season. I know, did you know we had a fog season? Let's go through it. Stay tuned. All right, so if you are thinking about moving here to Bakersfield, relocating, calling this place your home, you're gonna wanna know about Tule Fog. So yes, it is called Tule Fog, T-U-L-E. Looks like Tule, doesn't it? It is from a plant, this plant that's up in the valley, northern part of the valley, and that's how it came to be. It's called Tule Fog. It is all throughout the San Joaquin Valley, from like Bakersfield all the way up to like Modesto, and then even into the city. But I will tell you this fog is not like the fog in San Francisco. It's very, very different. And I'm from Southern California, so I'm used to an onshore flow. An onshore flow has nothing on Tule Fog. It's a whole different animal. Okay, so, and like I said, it does have a season. Usually starts right around November, December, and goes till about January, February. But it's not every day. It tends to show up after we've had some rain and the ground is cold. And then it comes up from the ground. I know you would think that it would come down like a cloud, but no, it comes up from the ground. It is, another nickname is that they call it soupy. It's very soupy outside because it's just kind of got that vibe. So here are a couple of tips that I can give you for navigating in and around the fog. One big tip is to not drive with your flashers on. I know big rigs do, and I'm sure there's a reason that they do it, but for you and I, everyday driver, do not drive with your flashers on. It just really causes a lot of problems when you're driving normally with your flashers on. So that's a big, don't do that. You want to try and give yourself even more room than you normally would. When you're driving, you don't have a lot of visibility beyond your car because it's thick. Another tip to keep in mind is your headlights. You want to make sure you don't pop into your high beams. Keep your headlights on low beam because when you pop them up into high beam, it's like when you're driving in snow and you get the white out, it'll absolutely do that even faster in Tule Fog. So keep your headlights on low beam. If you've got kids in school, you're definitely gonna have fog delays. So your school will send out a text or whatever. Sometimes you have to see it on TV, but you will absolutely have fog delays. You will have a 2 to 3 hour fog delay sometimes, depending on how thick it is. There are days when it burns off. Like you'll have it for, first few hours of the morning, up till 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, and then it burns off. And then come 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it starts to close in on you, and then you've got it through the night. So depending on what you do for work, if you travel a bunch, just keep that in mind. Another way to kind of navigate the fog, if you're new to driving in it, is to stay behind a big rig. Not too close, but they are pros, presumably, with driving in the fog. So you'll want to make sure that you've got enough space that they will stop and you've got enough time to stop behind them. That's a beginner tip, I would say. Those of us that have lived here long enough, you start to get in the routine, you know how to get around in it. But still always a good thing to tuck back behind a big rig, especially if you're on the freeway. But be prepared. Visibility is not good. But I don't want that to scare you about moving here. It's just part of our seasons. We do have a fog season. And the crazy thing about the Tule Fog is it's not the same every year, depending on how much rain we've gotten, depending on what's going on in the environment, I guess. We don't have it thick every year, but this year, 2022 into 2023 has been a really intense year. We got it early in November, and this being filmed in January of 2023, we have rain and fog. Let me tell you something about the rain too. So let me know in the comment below, have you driven in Tule Fog? Did you know you were driving here in the valley? What is this? I want to hear from you. Leave me a comment down below and let me know if you've driven in the fog and what you think of it. Another thing you can do to help you as you're learning and you're approaching an intersection that you can't even see the light is crack your window so you can kind of hear traffic. That will also help you as you're, navigating, in and around town, or if you're having to pop on the freeway. That's a big way to help you kind of keep an ear out of like, ooh, what's going on. There's a lot of benefits to traveling in packs. Like if you're on the freeway, like if you're coming from Southern California into the Central Valley, into Bakersfield, and you get hit with that wall of Tule Fog, you're gonna do better off to be near other cars to kind of, push away the fog a little bit more as a pack. That also has a negative side to it as well, because if something bad happens in that fog, you're in the thick of it with all those cars too. But as a general rule, you do better when you kind of hang out with other cars as you navigate down the roads. And the crazy thing about the fog is that sometimes you're in the thick of it. Like you can't see, you're just like gripping the steering wheel, and then all of a sudden it breaks and you're like, oh, I can see everything. And then you go a few more yards down the road and you're like back in the thick of it. So it's crazy how it like pockets, but it is pretty much consistent all the way up through the valley. I'm from Southern California, where in December and January, it's light and bright and the air is clear and crisp, and the sun is out and you're like, let's go, new year. And you want to tackle all the great things that come with a new year, right? Well, when you live here in the valley and it's foggy and it's gray and it doesn't burn off, you're like, well, that's kind of a poopy way to start the first part of the year. But I can tell you, it does go away. And usually about the time Southern California gets June gloom, we start getting into our triple digits. So it's a nice trade-off, because you're ready for summer by about April and May. Just something to keep in mind when you move here is that it's a little bit of a reverse, especially if you're moving here from Southern California like I did. I don't want this fog conversation to deter you from moving here to Bakersfield. It's just part of living here in the valley, and we get through it, and by about January, February, we're moving on into the spring months, and it's beautiful outside. So don't let this deter you. I look forward to hearing from you. We can help you get into a home. My team and I would love to help you find a place to call yours here in Bakersfield. I'll see you around town.